Okay, this is going to be the story of our trials of trying to get pregnant. Since we got married in 2010, September, I kind of had baby fever right after that. So I actually got off of birth control that January, so 2011. And it took an entire year for anything to show positive for a pregnancy test. I have PCOS, and I had a thyroid issue that I wasn't aware of. So what happened was 6 months after I got off birth control, I didn't have a period. So 6 months later, my cycle came back, which was a red flag for me to go get checked out to see if something was wrong. And then since then, it was January 2012 when I got a positive test, and that miscarriage happened like within the same week. I went to the doctor and kept getting blood work, and they were telling me I was pregnant, but I was spotting, and then I was bleeding, and then I was bleeding even more. So they said it was a threatened miscarriage, then it was actually a miscarriage. So I had to take methotrexate. It was a shot to get rid of the pregnancy and to make everything stop growing, which was devastating, but you know, everything happens for a reason. But a few months later, I think it was May of 2012, I went to see an endocrinologist and got tested for my thyroid. And I found out that I had Hashimoto's hypothyroidism, which, if your thyroid is off, nothing is going to grow. Like, you're not going to have a child. It's just not going to work. So again, it was my issue. I never thought it was Randy that was the problem. Our doctor kept telling us, my OBGYN at the time, she kept telling us to, see if he get him tested and see, make sure he's fine. And like, I knew in my heart that it wasn't him. I thought it was me. So, I actually switched OBs because mine kept telling me to lose weight and I'll get pregnant. And there are a ton of overweight women who are heavier than I am currently who got pregnant.
Your doctor didn't want to do the work.
Right. So I switched OBs, and I saw an endocrinologist, obviously, and this OB worked with me. She knew my goal, and she wanted to get me tested. So she did a bunch of tests. Everything came back normal except for my PCOS. I got put on metformin. I took it once a day. She told me to take it twice a day. I said no. I really don't think, because I really don't think I have a really bad case of it. I think it was more my thyroid, because my thyroid level was so off. Mm-hmm. Once I got put on Synthroid and metformin, my cycles were every month. However, in the second time I got pregnant was October.
It was right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, October 2013, right? Yeah, 2013.
Yeah, 13.
And I was pregnant for 8 weeks, but things weren't going very well. I was bleeding, and it was like every other day, and then I just knew in my heart something was wrong. Mm-hmm. So we saw the heartbeat at 6.5 weeks, and then I was bleeding the very next day, and it freaked me out, so we went to get another ultrasound, and we saw a different tech this time, and she told, like, when we looked at the ultrasound, my mom was with us, and we didn't see the heartbeat flickering as much as we did, like, 2 days prior. Mm-hmm. So I kind of knew something was up, but they didn't tell me, which was, I don't know, it was a crazy time. So then about 2 weeks later, I was having the same issues, and I went in, and Randy and I went together this time, and they told us that the baby stopped growing at 6.5 weeks.
Yeah, they actually went through, the tech basically said there's, I see something, but everything looks good. Mm-hmm. And then she all of a sudden went to go get the doctor, and that's when the doctor said, it doesn't look good.
She said it could be a threatened miscarriage because of my bleeding, but they weren't sure. They were like, oh yeah, we saw a heartbeat.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, that's when we went back, and it didn't grow. Yeah. And when we looked at it, we're like, it looks small still. Like, I kind of knew in my heart I was telling Randy, you kind of know, and yeah, they just said it wasn't, it wasn't viable or whatever, and stopped growing about 2 weeks ago, and that we found out like 2 days after Christmas, 2013.
We had actually just announced it to her family and my family too.
On Christmas.
Yeah, on Christmas and the day before Christmas.
So to then go ahead and tell everybody after that it wasn't, it was really hard. But I'm glad that we did it that way, because I feel that the more people who did know, they were there to support us through that time. And they did. They supported us very well. It took a very long time, though, to get through that, because it lasted longer than the first miscarriage. So the first one was just like I was pregnant.
It was there, but
it
wasn't
so
there.
Fast, yeah.
It didn't have time to really sink into, hey, she's pregnant. The second time it definitely took time to sink in.
Because we saw the heartbeat.
Yeah, we saw the heartbeat. We had gone and, made some purchases of, baby's clothes and stuff like that. And then it was all gone.
So I had a very hard time with that, because I would see pregnant women and kind of know, like, well, it's never going to happen to me. I'm never going to get pregnant. Now, throughout these 2-3 years, when I was diagnosed with PCOS, on my ultrasound with my ovaries, which my ovaries don't really have the pearls anymore because of the metformin, but I'm still like the insulin resistant kind of. But while I was getting that, I was diagnosed with a fibroid a few years ago. So I knew that I had a fibroid growing in my uterus. She didn't know, well, my first OB said it was like near the top, but they weren't sure kind of where it was. And over the course of 2 years, it got a lot bigger. So with this last miscarriage, my new OB kind of thought that that was contributing to it. And a lot of women have a successful pregnancy with fibroids, but it can cause preterm labor. It grows with the baby, so it could, the preterm labor, it can cause a miscarriage in like your 20th week or near 20 weeks. And I just didn't want to risk it. So I knew, after having 2 miscarriages, I said, okay, let's do the surgery to remove it and start fresh, because I know I can get pregnant. It's just we have to get rid of this fibroid. So I felt like I had to do this or I was never going to have kids. So we scheduled my myomectomy for the end of March, and this was 2014. So I had a DNC in January, shortly after I miscarried. Well, it was like December 31st. And then I booked my surgery right away for March. So I was cut open exactly like a C-section, except for the fibroid was on top of my uterus, and in the front, it wasn't inside, thank God. So it was like 8 or 9 centimeters. It was very big. It weighed more than my uterus, and it's a blood supply, so I think it stole blood from the baby. So after my myomectomy, it was healing just like a C-section, except for my uterus wasn't cut open, so I have a really big scar, and it was a 6-week recovery. And then after that, I was told to wait 3 months before trying for a baby. Every single month, my period got better, it was lighter, and it was on time. And that is one of the benefits of having fibroid surgery, because it's not there to cause you to bleed heavy and for longer periods of time. Like, there were so many benefits. So there's more than one reason why I did it. But I was told 3 months. So we waited until my 3rd cycle ended, and after that, it was in July, we tried. And it was successful, and that's when we found out that we were pregnant. And I was excited that it happened right away, because we literally were like, okay, it's going to be every other day. We have to, because I didn't know when I ovulated.
We've waited long. We waited long enough. I mean, it was a good 2-3 years that we've been trying.
Yeah. We didn't want to waste any opportunity, so I basically said, okay, every other day, because we're just going to try until the day my period ends, to whenever.
And just cross your fingers and hope.
Yeah. So I went through that whole 2-week wait. I went through testing on like 8 or 9 DPO, and it was positive. So it was kind of nice to go through it this way, because the first 2 times were like, oh my God, I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
I didn't know it because I didn't have a cycle. But this time it was planned. The others were planned, but I didn't know. But this one, it was just really comforting, really nice. And I actually approached it differently. when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't go to the doctor right away. I just called them and I scheduled like your between 6 and 8 weeks you scheduled to go in to get your ultrasound and blood work and whatever. So I didn't fret about HCG numbers. I didn't do all that because last time it stressed me out.
Yeah.
And everything's good. I'm 29 weeks pregnant now and everything's really good. I haven't had any issues. I mean, I have pelvic pain, but that can be common. So, but I didn't have any bleeding. I didn't have any, like, I'm just really, I'm thankful everything happened the way that it did because it caught so many issues in my body to prepare myself for a healthy pregnancy.
Yep. So now Leah's due April 16th, 2015. We have a scheduled cesarean on April 9th. So we're just looking forward to that point.
Yep.
I'm hoping it gets here very, very soon because we have plenty of stuff to do.
Yeah. Yeah. We're at the 10-week countdown, so.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for telling the story and putting yourself through it again.
Yeah.
So, we will talk to you guys later. Thanks.
Bye.